This is Sarah Stewart Holland.
This is Beth Silvers.
You're listening to Pantsuit Politics. Today, we're going to talk about two stories this week that feel different, but we believe are related. First, the Wall Street Journal's blockbuster reporting on the UAE investments in Trump companies and whatever the hell is happening between Melania and Amazon. Plus, and completely separately, the federal courts are reaching their limit with how immigration policy is being handled in this country. One story is about conflict of interest and the other is about constitutional process, but both are about institutions and have all of us asking, what exactly are we doing here? And then outside of politics, we're going to talk about the Grammys.
Before we do that, we are excited to share that we're coming to Minneapolis at the end of August this year for a live show and our first ever Spice conference. We call the people who support our work on Substack and get all of our premium podcasts the Spice Cabinet. So that's why we're having the Spice Conference. We know that Minneapolis has faced a lot this year. We are really grateful the timing has worked out for us to be there and support the Twin Cities community and local businesses and the many listeners who are there. Tickets for that live show will go on sale at the beginning of March, but tickets to the Spice Conference go on sale next week. We will be releasing them to our premium members in 2 batches. It's a little complicated because we're trying to navigate everyone's time zones and make it as fair as we can so that you get a chance to come. Mark your calendar for next week. Tuesday, February 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time is the first batch. The second batch is Wednesday, February 11th at noon Eastern Time. You'll find all this in the show notes. There will not be a test. It'll just be right there for you. But we really hope that you'll come join us in Minneapolis.
Next up, let's talk about the grift. Beth, first of all, I want to give a mad shout out to the Wall Street Journal's reporting over the last year. They have been what I can only describe as fearless when it comes to investigating this administration. And this, I don't feel like I'm being hyperbolic if I call it blockbuster report about basically a foreign government official taking a major ownership in a president's company is just another example.
The skill set built by Wall Street Journal reporters is uniquely suited to a very corrupt administration.
Yeah.
They are adept at economic reporting, at looking at complex business enterprises. I've been thinking and writing and talking a lot lately about how we all have different lanes in our civic work. And the Wall Street Journal has a really unique lane in media and a unique opportunity. And I am so happy that they are rising to the occasion and using the skills and the credibility that they've built in this arena to shed light on some stories that I think otherwise it would take much, much longer to get to the general public. And it might be harder to get to the general public in a way that people can follow and understand. They're just really deploying their strengths to meet this moment.
So let's get into this report. It is complex. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's like super simple to understand. But I also think it's not so complex that you can't see clearly what a huge deal this is. And to me, it has really risen above what has felt like a deluge of grift coming from this administration. This feels different to me. And just that it's so much money. It's so clear what's going on. And it really, as we're going to get into, it puts some concrete facts around something, you know, both of you and I have struggled with around why are they doing this? Where's this decision making coming from? Which our guess was corruption and greed. It's just nice to have it confirmed. Okay, so let's get into it. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that a United Arab Emirate official by the name of Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, they call him the spy Sheikh. He controls $1.3 trillion. Let me say that again. $1.3 trillion in investments. He's one of the most powerful investors in the world. The Trump family already had experience with him when we would talk about the deals with Jared Kushner coming out of the last administration, this is what we're talking about. Jared Kushner's investment firm had raised $1.5 billion from Tahnoon already. Okay, so there are already a lot of money flowing back and forth between this guy's investment firm and the Trump firm and the Trump family. So, 4 days before Trump's inauguration, a deal was finalized between Tahnoon and the Trump family, specifically World Liberty. Beth, do you know World Liberty?
I recall World Liberty. Yes, I do.
World Liberty is their crypto company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just think it's worth pointing out at this moment in time, World Liberty had no products.
Yeah.
No products, no real profit, not much of anything.
A lot of what was being written about it early in the Trump administration was it's basically like a special purpose vehicle.
Yeah.
Which happens in business a lot, where you create an entity to just kind of hold assets, transfer assets, whatever. But they've really innovated in the Trump family on the special purpose vehicle, where the special purpose seems to be something close to bribery.
So 4 days before the inauguration, they closed a deal in which Tahnoon bought a 49% stake in this crypto venture of World Liberty with $187 million flowing immediately to the Trump family, and another $31 million went to the family of Steve Witkoff, Trump's U.S. envoy to the Middle East. Now, they didn't get any future investment or right out of these crypto tokens. They got 2 seats on the board, and that's like the headline. There's more to it, but let's just start with that. They gave the Trump family $187 million 4 days before the inauguration for not much in return yet.
Right. And Steve Witkoff, who has been probably the single most important figure in our foreign policy during this term, at least tied with Marco Rubio for that status, is not Senate confirmed, has not been required to divest any assets, is not subject to the kind of ethical rules that people who work in government are subjected to. And this is the problem. I know that people don't love the HR department or the ethics department or the inspectors general in the Trump administration, but this is why we have those rules. Because at a minimum, this raises the appearance of extreme impropriety.
Yeah. Well, listen, Beth, in the art of the deal, you got to at least give them credit, because this shakedown was not enough. They were like, well, we really appreciate your $187 million. But 2 weeks before the Sheikh gets his final payoff, and we'll get into what that was, another fund controlled by him poured $2 billion into Binance, which is one of the world's largest crypto exchange. Now, to make this investment, the Sheikh's fund used a very specific cryptocurrency. Would you like to guess what it was, Beth?
Was it World Liberty?
It was. It was USD1, the stablecoin issued by World Liberty Financial, the very company the Trump family owns. And so by using this very specific coin to invest in Binance, it rocketed the USD1 up the rankings of stablecoins. It gave World Liberty a $2 billion cash pile, which the company holds in reserve to maintain its coins 1-to-1 tied to the dollar. So you got to respect the grift. This first payment wasn't enough. They're like, you know what? We're going to need a little bit more. Could you pour about $2 billion into our stablecoin as well? Thank you so much.
Well, and I think that it's just always helpful to remember, because it's hard to make any of this sound real, right?
Yeah.
This just sounds
stable coins, cryptocurrency, big numbers. Correct.
And even like billion, trillion, at some point, I just can't conceive of this in my mind at all. What I can conceive of, though, is how the Trump family has been for the last year trying to be in all parts of every deal flow.
Yeah.
So it's that they're actually getting cash. They're getting it through cryptocurrency that they own on exchanges where you move cryptocurrency that they also own. So they get a piece of every transaction, right? They're moving into the prediction markets now, so that if people have bets about deals like this going through, they also get a piece of that. You know, they want to be the casino and the card maker and the bank, every single role at stake here, they're taking a bite out of, which means that almost you have to read these stories and think, this is probably understated.
Right. I mean, we're only getting a piece of this is what they can dig up.
Yeah.
I believe there is more to it. Okay, so what did the UAE get in exchange? Well, after we get the payout before the inauguration and 2 weeks after the approval of the Binance deal, the UAE monarchy got access to around 500,000 of the most advanced AI chips in the world every year, enough to build one of the world's biggest AI data center clusters. And 1/5 of those chips go to G42, which is Tahnoon's AI company. And as a bonus, as just a little extra gift, Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ, who is the founder of Binance and had been convicted of money laundering charges and served prison time and been banned in several countries, which really prevented his running of Binance, got a pardon for the easy breezy price of $2 billion plus $187 million.
Really hard to understate the importance of those chips to UAE right now, because the wealthy countries in the Middle East are very clear-eyed about the future of oil. They understand right now that the price of oil has been dropping because the world is essentially oversupplied. Even though here in the United States, it's drill, baby, drill, the rest of the world is moving on and fast. And we will move on fast in the United States, too, as soon as our political climate changes. And the world knows that our political climate changes with the winds.
Mm-hmm.
So these Middle Eastern countries that have built so much wealth on oil are looking for ways to diversify their portfolios. That's why you see them getting into sports and entertainment, and, you know, things like Live Golf are part of this initiative. But AI is what is holding up our entire economy in the United States right now, and they believe it will be important there too. We had been really protective in the United States. We wanted to preserve a competitive advantage around that technology, but now it, like everything else, is for sale.
Yeah, sold to the highest bidder. And I mean, this is also a security risk. It's really tied up with China. There's a lot of reporting in this piece about a Chinese figure who had, was trained in America, had American citizenship, renounced their U.S. citizenship for UAE citizenship, because there is the sense, and that was the security concern all along with giving the chips to UAE, is that they would find their way to China, which most people, beyond even just China hawks, but many of the AI industry leaders believe is this sort of an existential contest between these powers. And, for the right amount of money to enrich the Trump family, who cares?
And I think the Wall Street Journal's reporting on this is so critical because we don't have many ways in our system to get to this kind of activity from the executive branch.
Yeah. Well, we have the emoluments clause.
We have the emoluments clause in the Constitution, which says pretty plainly, we don't want our chief executive to be bribed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want our members of Congress to be bribed. Our courts have not built any infrastructure around the emoluments clause the way they have around lots of other clauses. It's incredible how the court takes something like the Commerce Clause, which is also very vague and high level, and builds and builds and builds around it. But it does not do that with these constraints on people in power. And so right now, if you want to bring an emoluments clause case, you are asking courts to do a whole bunch of legal work to create a system by which that case will be adjudicated, heard, appealed. Like we don't have the infrastructure in the judicial system legally to use what our Constitution has spelled out for us.
And the Supreme Court declined to hear the emoluments cases in the first term. Now, those were more private companies investing in Trump businesses. I don't know if this is so obviously a foreign government. This doesn't even get to the freaking airplane they gave him. Like that if this will trigger, a judicial system willing to do that work. We're going to get into the judicial system next. But before we move on from the ever-increasing grift beat Beth, I did want to talk about Melania. Did you run to the theaters to see this film?
I did not, but I have been unable to avoid the marketing campaign.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell that Amazon not only agreed to pay her a lot for what sounds like was just a little on her part, but then also agreed to blow it out and try to make I don't know what I don't know what the stated goal was, but it's almost like they won an Oscar for this thing. It's wild, the campaigning around it.
Since we have praised the reporting of the Wall Street Journal, I would like to criticize strongly the reporting around this film. First of all, just because they call it a documentary doesn't make it one.
That's right.
It's not a documentary. Please stop calling it. Please stop telling me it broke records for documentaries. It's not a documentary. It is basically a long music video / reality show with
commercial
/ piece of propaganda directed by Brent Ratner, who has been credibly accused on multiple occasions of sexual assault. So disgusting on its own level. They paid her $40 million. She gets 70% of it. $40 million for the rights to release this movie. They spent an additional $35 million to market it. And I'm supposed to believe an $8 million weekend is some sort of blockbuster success? What are you talking about? I literally read reporting where they were bussing in people from assisted living facilities to see this show, which I'm sure the Amazon freaking paid for. I mean, 72% of the ticket buyers were 55 and older, 72% were female, and 75% were white. This is what... Why is the reporting acting like this is some sort of movie success? I am like so angry at the way this has been reported. It's just another example. Less money at stake, but Melania glad she got hers because they're all getting a cut. They're getting generational wealth they will not be able to spend on the backs of being supposed public servants.
That's right.
I don't know how to say it any clearer.
That this is coming from a private company is one of the most disturbing things that's happened to me. I understand that the Trump administration controls the levers of the federal government right now. I don't accept it or agree with it. I find myself daily struggling with that fact. But I get that officials from the Department of Justice are going to say things that sound straight up North Korean, that we're going to have these cabinet meetings that are so obsequious and absurd. It's beyond parody. I get that. For a private company that is ostensibly about making money and has obligations to shareholders and has a clear profit motive to do something like this, that again looks so transparently like a bribe, that's disturbing to me on a different level.
Yeah.
You know, this is the result of what we saw when we talked about the inauguration and all the tech bros there on the dais, you know, paying their fealty to the leader.
Yep.
I just don't know who wants this. Does anybody really want this?
No.
Who's this for? Whose life is this making better?
Well, I mean, it's just, I was reading about the money that's going to be pouring into the midterms. And it's like the AI industry, the crypto industry, President Trump's super PAC. Like, it is at this point such a closed universe of enormous wealth. I mean, it is, I don't know what else to call it except for robber barons, where, you're making and absconding and piling up amounts of money that are out of this world, that are just, that create, it is creating a different reality. These Jared Kushner and the Trump family and these UAE sheikhs, like they don't live where we live. They don't live where we live. And but they want to extract so much from us, including like the power and influence you have is because you represent all of us. That's why. And it's just, I was at a Chamber of Commerce dinner and I was encouraged to hear like people across the table from me, like talking about this, like he's just enriching himself. Like you just can't avoid it. It's like you said, you know what I think if anyone who writes for SNL listens to Pantsuit Politics, They should break in a way that people will pay attention to. They shouldn't do a cold open. They should just show footage from the cabinet meeting. Be like, that's it. That's the sketch. Like, this is it. We don't need to do it. We don't need to act it out. We don't need to add jokes. It's what you can see. No one criticizes him. Everyone just licks his boots and finds a way to write him a check. It's disgusting.
It's such a closed loop. I want to go back to that point that you were making. And that loop is chaotic. That tech loop is chaotic. If you were on social media much over the weekend, you saw a lot of discussion about AI agents forming their own social network, where they discussed creating their own religion and their own language that humans can't interpret. And they complained about the humans that use them as their agents. And one of them learned how to make a phone call, allegedly, and was like repeatedly calling the human who it is supposed to be working for. That's a mess. That's even the people who think AI is awesome were kind of like, oh, this is a mess. The prediction markets are starting to tweet out absolutely false information.
Yep.
So our news outlets are paying the prediction markets for the data of what people think about a given event based on how much money they spend, because now our thoughts too are monetized that way. That's how they're measured, by the money that's being spent. And then based on that, the prediction markets are sharing completely incorrect news. It's a mess. And this is all just about greed. And it is helping no one. It is creating new problems. It is keeping us from solving existing problems. And it is also that a very small handful of people can take their already extraordinary wealth to a stratospheric new level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that it is a long road that has led us here. And I think all the time about the conversation on Ezra Klein's podcast where the point was made, like, our only value is greed. Our only value is money. The only thing you know if it's good or not is if it makes money. And the only way we know if you're good or not is if you make money. And social media supercharged that in a lot of really extreme ways. Like, let me perform my wealth, let me perform luxury in a way that it's like a mess even in our lives, even in down here on planet Earth.
Yeah.
You know, like, the luxury market is so saturated, it's no longer luxury. Being able to control your face or your weight or what you wear or the access to the right bag, like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. And like, so maybe this is why they're having to find a new stratosphere to exist in, because the traditional stratosphere of luxury and wealth is different now. It's why they're building bigger and bigger mega yachts and giga yachts, and a giga yacht that holds a mega yacht that you could take down to the port of wherever. It's like, it's so distorted in all of our lives. And I really think what we said was, whether we said it or whether we just illustrated it, how we know you're good is if you can demand attention and if you have a lot of money. And that's how we ended up with 2 terms of Donald Trump. So like, he is taking to the extreme a road we were already on, where we just decided being rich is what made you a good person. Like, being rich is what made you good or worth it. We don't even care if you're a really good person as long as you're rich. And the rules don't apply to you if you're rich. And the rule of law that we were all equals, that there weren't 2 different realities. Of course, did we ever live that out fully? No. Rich people always had better access to attorneys and all these things. But like, this is shredding that. It's like, it's not like, ooh, there's room for improvement. It's, well, it doesn't matter. He'll pardon you if you were charged with corruption. Like, we're just going to, again, it's just another lived reality. You live in a different place where the rules don't apply to you. I thought Jerusalem Dempsey's thing about the elite bargain, and that you don't get rule of law in some areas and not others. You need rule of law. Like, that applies to contracts too. So if you want to build business and greed and money and all these things, like, you don't get to pick and choose. If it's the stability that the rule of law provides for the future of every member of this country, whether you're, whatever stratosphere of wealth you exist in, like, it has to be held up. And, we're going to definitely talk about the judicial system next, but like this shreds that. It says like, no, there is no stability. And I think that's why you see such instability in the markets. Like, oh, Bitcoin is the stable place to put your money, except that's rising and falling. Gold and silver, people were plowing their money into gold and silver. That dropped off a cliff this weekend as well. All this wealth was lost. Like, people are searching desperately for a stable place to put their money, the last vestige of, their own value, and they can't find it. There is no stable place, because without the rule of law, if it's just dog eat dog, greed is good, there's no stability to that.
And I think that's why it's worth talking about this. I hate to just complain for 25 minutes about something that I have no power to influence. I am not such a mega wealthy person that I could do something today that actually changes all of this. And so that's frustrating, and it feels disempowering, and it's overwhelming. It's worth talking about to me because it's an election year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we get to say what is important to us. This transcends partisanship. This is not about traditionally conservative views. This is not about a free market. This is the opposite of a free market. A free market says we want everybody to have a chance for a better life and to follow their passion and the best ideas to succeed. And that's not what this is. This is about preserving all the wealth, not even most of the wealth anymore, but all of the wealth for a really, really small number of people. And I think it also gives me a framework to think about the Epstein story as more than just a stain on our society and true crime and even a government failure, which it was. But it is a government failure born of the same sins that we've just been talking about, right? It is a government failure born of too few people across private industry and government collaborating together to say, yeah, we're not going to build the infrastructure to hold each other accountable. And we're not going to enforce the rules against one another. We're going to have a really fun time. We're going to party. We're going to get away with things that are abhorrent. We're going to look the other way, even if we didn't break any laws or do something really wrong. We're going to look the other way when you did, because we're all kind of part of the same network. It is important, I think, for all of us on a forward-looking basis to say, we can't have that anymore. And that means that we need to make a lot of change. And our first opportunity to do that is in November.
Yeah, I mean, the Epstein files to me is indicative of not just a failing of process, not just a failing of the legal system, but it's a failing of morality. There is a sense here that, again, the only thing that matters is that he was rich and he had access to things I wanted. So if I'm Peter Attia or I'm Elon Musk or I'm Bill Gates, I will maintain that access because the rules don't apply to him and they don't apply to me. And so many people who said they'd stop talking to him and they didn't have anything to do with him after he was convicted in 2008 or 9 of sexual predation kept in contact with him. Elon Musk, to me, is the biggest offender. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am starting to feel like, first of all, this is only half of the documents that they said they were going to release. There's 6 million documents. They released 3 million on a Friday and just dumped them all. They didn't protect the victims like they were required to by law. They didn't redact a bunch of names. 6 co-conspirators are still redacted and protected. And if I am, putting together like so many pieces of this, the fear of the victims, because something I always hung up on was who would be powerful enough and scary enough that even if you were a 16-year-old girl, even as you grew into your 30s, you would move heaven and earth so people didn't know what happened to you. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump are names that make sense to me under that framework. And then all of a sudden, where did this love affair from these two come from? Well, now this makes sense to me too. They're protecting information. They're protecting something. Especially Elon Musk. Am I supposed to believe that you're referencing these girls and wanting to come to this island so often and are seeking him out because of the wild parties? You don't want a relaxing beach vacation. You want a wild party. And nothing happened? That defies logic. This is to me, despite everything we know about Epstein and the way that he would manipulate people and play off his access. Like these are people, Peter Attia, Elon Musk in particular, stand out to me like searching him out. They are not just Epstein's coming to them and trying to play off his contacts. They are searching him out way after he had been convicted of sex crimes. And so it's just hard not to think, okay, well, that's why Elon Musk is plowing money into Donald Trump's cause, even after they had this big blow up. They clearly have some shared interest here.
I'm really struggling with what to do with this document dump. We don't have the resources as a team to go through 3 million documents. Most news outlets are, you can tell, struggling. You can see who's out first, and they're outlets that don't do as much diligence on their reporting. And I've worked on enough discovery as a relatively new lawyer, cases that are teeny tiny compared to the number of documents involved in this case, to know that when you look at an email in isolation, that's very different than when you have everything organized and in order and you understand how all the pieces fit together. So I don't want to rush to any judgments. At the same time, this feels like a virus that has evolved to me because of the way that people covered this up, because of the failure at so many different levels of government, because of interference by politicians, because of promises that people failed to deliver on. Anything's possible. In the wildest take on what's in these documents looks like it could be credible.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Who do you believe? And it is bad for society that this has all been covered up. It is also bad for society that the only thing left to do is to force the government to just dump these documents out onto the public with no context and with no one really in a position to be the credible truth teller. Honestly, the only person that I want to hear talk about this is Julie K. Brown, because she has for so long been tracking it and for so long been trying to separate what is noise, what is conspiracy, and what can be validated. But that is the thing. When you decide that nothing matters, then your protests about your innocence don't matter either. Or what you tell me today was actually your relationship with Epstein doesn't matter. You've made it all possible and therefore all likely in the minds of a public that is getting sick of this shit.
Yeah. I mean, they're just liars. I don't believe anything they say. I mean, if it has government, official commented, I don't believe it. I mean, the something broke with me after the shooting in Minneapolis and the just insane amount of lying. Like, I will hear something about Minneapolis or ICE or God, who can keep up anymore? The grift, the Epstein. And I'm like, but I can't. In the past, I would hear things and I could take in some of what they said and think like, well, they're spinning, but I don't even think it's spin anymore. Everything, I just assume everything coming from this administration is a lie until proven otherwise. I don't know how else to function.
And that is horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it cannot be that way. That is especially bad at this moment when we do have AI just churning out garbage constantly. I heard a news story this morning about a place in, I think it was in Tanzania, like a hot springs that AI has helped people plan trips to go to. It's not real. AI generated some blog posts about tourism in this place, and then they kept feeding on what they had created, and people traveled there to go to this thing that doesn't exist. What you really need in an environment that has that kind of thing happening everywhere all the time is to know that if it's from a .gov website, you can trust it.
Yeah.
If it's from an executive branch agency, you can trust it. And we have squandered that over the last year. It is the opposite now, as you said. If I hear it from Kash Patel or Pam Bondi or Trish McLaughlin or Kristi Noem, I just assume that it's false. And that's terrible.
Well, it's not just us. Up next, let's talk about the courts and their response to the lies.
There are many, many, many judicial opinions where ICE has found itself finally in front of a judge having to say in court under oath, or at least through lawyers, this is what we're doing and this is why it's lawful. And that's not going well in a bunch of respects. The case that is getting a lot of attention right now concerns Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old whose picture was just so compelling and so emblematic of the overreach that the people of Minneapolis were experiencing. And I know that people will argue with you all day about whether his father abandoned him and what the actual circumstances are. But here, a judge in the Western District of Texas, who says in his opinion, deports people all the time, has taken lengths to write an opinion that you really can't skip a sentence of.
It's not long. Everyone should read it. It's only 3 pages.
He wrote it for you to read.
Yeah,
he wrote it for the American people to read. He made it short and used plain language because he wants people to know that this government is so out of control. He quotes Thomas Jefferson's grievances against the king in the opinion, and how Thomas Jefferson was talking about the king sending swarms of officers to harass our people.
Sounds familiar.
And he says we are living echoes of that history right now.
I found the opinion striking. He includes a photo. He includes scriptures. Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. I think that he knew that the world would pay attention to this decision because of the virality of Liam's story. The heartbreaking, follow-ups that he was growing ill in ICE detention. Fun aside, they have confirmed measles cases at some of these ICE detention centers now. And I think he was like, I'm going to make a point. And to me, it's not just him. What's striking about this decision, it is now in a class of decisions.
Right.
From judges that are like, I can't. Like, I don't even, anger from, Scalia acolytes. Just visceral anger and frustration at the way the administration is behaving in court, specifically around immigration.
So there's a relatively new order out from another Minnesota district judge who I think also intends this opinion to be read by the public. The judge talks about a woman, a citizen from Ecuador, who has been through it in life. And the judge notes that this woman is under 5 feet tall. And yet, this woman who has no criminal history, there's no warrant for her arrest. This woman was pursued in a vehicle by ICE agents. She was with her 19-year-old son. The agents drove in front of her car and caused her to hit a tree. So they jeopardized public safety in general, including hers and her son's, to arrest her. This woman had to be hospitalized for 7 days. She had lesions on her face and injuries to her internal organs. She had to have surgery for her appendix and her gallbladder because of the way that ICE pursued and apprehended her. And the courts are about done with this, but they are struggling because our current laws give enormous authority to the executive branch to enforce immigration law. Most of these opinions end with something like, this person cannot be detained for a period of 14 days or a period of 10 days. But the judges who are saying the most about this know that ICE is going to circle back around to all of these people. They're going to try another avenue because they just are unwilling to prioritize in any meaningful way. They are driven by numbers. And I think that they want to show that their authority exceeds that of the courts. That's what you see in opinion after opinion too. That the judges aren't mincing words anymore. ICE is depriving people of their due process rights on purpose and is violating court orders at a clip where it's hard for courts to even come back around and say, wait, you violated our order. Now we have to decide how to deal with that.
I mean, with the 2-year-old child they took to Texas, that was in clear violation of a court order. The mother got that child back a day later after the child, I'm sure, has been thoroughly traumatized by being captured and kidnapped and taken to another state, and in the presence of her screaming, crying mother. I I don't know if people look. I don't remember which judge it was that said, like, it's a flawed, arcane process. I don't know if Americans understand that non-citizens do have due process rights. I'm not really sure how much people understand the term due process rights, but you can't just disappear people. And they've gotten away with it. I mean, they disappeared people from Alcatraz. They have disappeared people in the very beginning, claiming they were gang members, to Ecuador and other, like, Africa. I mean, they're just, they are acting like cowboys. We now know, thanks to the reporting of ProPublica, that the two officers who shot Alex Preddy were veterans of border control. And border control has been allowed to behave like cowboys outside the system for years and years and years. And so they have brought that to the rest of the country. And they, we're going to talk about the Grammys next, but I was so struck by Bad Bunny's statement, like, we're not animals. These are human beings. And, to see children protesting at a detention facility, to know that they are gobbling up warehouses and real estate all over this country so they can detain hundreds of thousands of more people. The only thing that gives me hope is I'm reading some reporting that people are turning on Stephen Miller. God bless Tom Tillis for saying over and over again, this guy's bad. Because he is. He's evil. I don't use that word lightly. I really, really don't. I am prone to hyperbole, but not in this instance. I'm not even really sure I believe in evil, but I don't know what other word to use to describe Stephen Miller, who at the beginning of his career was racist ranting as a congressional staffer about immigration. Other Republicans thought he was a weirdo. And now he is basically the prime minister of our country out here instituting a grand, racist at best, genocidal at worst scheme. I don't know how to put words to how strongly the alarm bells should be ringing about this man and his plan.
I think that sense of, like, words fail me is being found in these opinions. I want to tell you about a case from the Middle District of Florida, because that's the other thing. It sounds like, well, yeah, Minnesota's really bad. It's the whole country. It's not just Minnesota. It's the whole country. So Middle District of Florida, high school student, has lived in Central Florida for more than 4 years. His parents came from Venezuela. He was permitted to enter the country. Their asylum claim is pending. He has a driver's license. He has a social security card to work. He has a U.S. employment authorization document that is valid through 2030. This is a person who has papers. He was arrested on January 7th, not by ICE, by the Orange County Sheriff. He has no criminal record. He had committed no crime. There was no notice for him to appear for removal proceedings. The sheriff's office just said they were arresting him because he's undocumented. And there are jurisdictions across this country that have contracts with ICE, that get paid to detain people for ICE, that are incentivized in lots of ways to cooperate with this enforcement effort by the government. So this high school student was held in jail for 5 days. And then ICE told him that they were going to move him to Miami to an immigration detention facility. His lawyers filed a petition in court. 9 days later, ICE decided to go ahead and start the removal process for real now that they've held him for 9 days. And the court said no. And in talking about what's happening here, the court is like struggling for words. So I kept track through this opinion. The court said that the government's argument is inexplicable. It's ill-informed. It's incoherent. It ignores the everyday meaning of the statutes. It ignores the teachings of the Supreme Court. It disregards more than a half century of precedent. It's insupportable on all fronts. The government is wrong, and plainly so. Like, the judges are doing the same thing. Like, I don't know how to tell you how bad this is, but it's really bad. And Bad Bunny is right. These that is a legal argument being made right now, that these are people. People are going into court filing writs of habeas corpus. I know that sounds like gobbledygook. Corpus is a Latin word for the body. These are proceedings where you go into court and you say the government has my body, and it shouldn't. The government is moving my body from place to place, and it is not allowed to do that under the rule of law. These cases all run together. They are so personal when you read the facts. I don't know how to make it any more real, but every time I read one of these opinions, it gets a little bit more real to me. And I'm glad that judges are trying to write in a way that invites more of the population to read their opinions and get that clarity.
In the same way that I hope the ICE agents are coming to the realization that Stephen Miller didn't mean what he said when he said, we'll have your back no matter what. Like a pox on the houses of these attorneys. I want them to lose their licenses. I want them to be sanctioned by the court. I want them to be disbarred because what you're doing is not practicing law. You know it. I know that you know it. And yes, this is coming from the top, but the minions making it possible and all these detention hearings deserve to be disbarred. They know they're not following the law. They are negligently abusing the rule of law. That's what these judges are saying, and they should face consequences for that.
And they are. They're getting show cause orders to not be held in contempt of court. You know, they're being reminded by judges of their professional ethics. You can say that you're a sacrificial lamb, that you're only doing the job that the government's asked you to do, but these judges are saying, no, when you're an attorney, you attest. You sign your name to the document. You know what that means. That has a personal meaning to you, not just to the client that you represent.
God bless the immigration attorneys on the other side, literally having to track people like private investigators across state lines in the face of an all-powerful federal government and ICE agents with masks and guns, showing up at the courthouses themselves, detaining people, pulling babies away from their breastfeeding mothers. Did you see the picture of the one side, the woman and her son are crying, and the other corner of the building, the security guard of the courthouse is also crying about what has just happened as her family member has been removed? It's inhumane. It's inhumane.
Yeah, a lot of people, when you talk about immigration, like casually in the country, will say, I just want people to do it the right way.
Yep.
Many of these people are being arrested and detained because they showed up to an appointment with an immigration judge that they were supposed to show up to. Because they are trying to do it the right way.
Married to American citizens.
Yes.
In pursuit of their green card. They deported this woman to Britain. What is this? What is this?
Again, who's this for? Who does this serve? Whose life does this make better? And here's the thing. The judges are doing what they can, but they are overwhelmed. The number of these cases is staggering because the government will move people even after the court has said, don't move this person. I am taking this case. We are going to have a hearing. They are going to be present for the hearing. The government will still move them to new facilities, and the lawyers have to file motions and tell the court, hey, they moved this person. And then the court has to go on a side quest. Where'd you move this person? Why'd you move them? You got to bring them back. Ugh. When you say due process, that's what is meant, right? Your opportunity to know what the charge is against you. Your opportunity to meaningfully have a lawyer represent you in the face of that charge. Your chance to show up at your own hearing, to not be disappeared, to not be moved from place to place. It looks like ICE is purposefully sometimes trying to keep these people from getting to their hearings because they don't want to have to defend their actions in court. That's what due process is. It's very personal. It sounds high-minded. It's extremely visceral, right? But the courts are overwhelmed by this. They're having to work at a pace they usually don't have to work at. And they just face limits around their power. You can read in the case where the judge considered Minnesota's request to shut this whole operation down, how badly this judge wants to fine for Minnesota. This opinion reads like a judge saying, please, please help me rule for you at the next stage of this case. Yeah. Here are the things I need from you in order to be able to do that. I can't right now, but when I do, I want it to mean something. I want it to stick. But it's hard. Our law is not built for this level of recklessness.
No. Well, and here's the thing. We're all talking about the regular judicial system. The immigration judicial system, they have decimated. They have capped the amount of judges when they were already way, way overwhelmed. They don't want to use the immigration system. They don't want to have, Stephen Miller does not want to have immigration into the United States, period. He does not want to have a legal immigration system. He wants to achieve what they have achieved, which is a population halt. For the first year in our 250-year history, our population is going to decrease. And it is because of Stephen Miller. This is what he wants. They want to treat people so cruelly. They want to make the process impossible. They want to shut it down, which they basically have done. They have basically shut down legal immigration. They have ended protected status for communities across this country. They have shut down the asylum. There is no give us your poor huddled masses anymore. We might as well pull up the Statue of Liberty and dump it into the Atlantic Ocean. It is no longer applicable thanks to Stephen Miller. It no longer applies. We are closed. We are closed for racist bullshit reasons. That's what's happened. That is what has happened. That is what they want. That is what they're achieving. They want to make it impossible, and they want to make people so afraid that they'll just leave. Because even with these bull quotas that they're trying to meet, they can't get rid of as many black and brown people as they would like. So what they'd like to do is scare the shit out of people so they just leave. That's the plan. They say it pretty openly.
And that plan is now extending to all the white people who disagree with that plan. Mm-hmm. Right? They just want people to go. And I ask again, whose life does that make better? I understand when people say, well, you got to get criminals out of the country. Okay. On some level, I get that. The statistics say that people born in the United States are more likely to commit crime and do more crime. We're never going to have a crimeless state. We're just not. But I understand what you're saying. People say they want the laws enforced. You can't enforce the laws if you're getting rid of all the judges.
Yep.
Can't do it. You can't enforce the law while simultaneously breaking the law 6 ways to Sunday. There's a moment in one of these opinions where an immigrant comes to court. Again, person who is entitled to be here under our current laws. And the government says that the court should throw this case out, in part because he didn't comply with all the local rules of the court. And I don't know what local rules they were citing, but local rules can be things like font size. You know, they can be very particular things. And the judge in the case says, the court's skeptical as to the government's intentions in raising compliance with the local rules, given the government's lack of compliance with the court's orders in all subsequent habeas actions filed here. You know, the court's like, you don't have any standing to enforce the law at this point because you're breaking it over and over and over again.
Well, that's the irony, right? In pursuit of law and order, we have let the foxes guard the henhouse. That's the theme here. That's the theme from the grift. That's the theme from immigration. You know, my favorite thing I read over the weekend is that immigrants not only commit less crime, they use less social services than native-born Americans. How's that for irony?
Yeah, if you want your prices to come down, this isn't the way either.
No, we're an immigrant nation. Jesus. Everything here would suck if we'd shut it down. The food would suck, as we are going to talk about in the Grammys. The music would suck. The art would suck. The fashion would suck. Everything would suck. We are beautiful and incredible because we are diverse. It is just, and you know what? I have an even better right to say that than Donald Trump because my family has been here since the 1700s, and his family, as he openly acknowledges all the time, both his father's family and his mother's family were immigrants. So it's just so maddening and enraging. And I am happy to see the courts ringing the alarm bell. I don't know which one of the judges that was like, with my proverbial finger in the constitutional dike, like, you know, this has got to stop. We won't make it out of this if we don't the bright spot of the weekend was this incredible state Senate race outside Fort Worth in Texas, where the Democrat, despite being outspent 10-1, because that's going to happen, the Republicans have a lot more money going into the midterms. And Elon Musk, and I'm sure our friend from the UAE, are going to send plenty more money that way. But he got outspent and he won by a lot in a district that Trump won by 17 points. And they're going to try to steal it. So the margins are going to have to be wide. They're going to have to be really, really wide.
And I take encouragement from that, not because I think Democrats have all the right answers or because I think the Democratic Party is a perfect institution. I do not. But because that's the only language that is spoken by this administration.
Yep.
And that is the only language spoken by most of Congress. The people must decide that we want different.
Yep.
And we must decide it resoundingly in this climate. It has to be undeniable. It has to be undeniable to CEOs. It has to be undeniable to legislators. It has to be undeniable to judges. And it has to be undeniable to the president that this is not acceptable to us. While we're giving some journalists flowers, I would like to give some flowers to Kyle Cheney at Politico, whose reporting on all of these cases working their way through the judicial system is so excellent that it was actually cited in the footnotes of one of these opinions.
Oh, wow.
He is tracking something that is so difficult to track right now. He's one of the only people that I go to on X religiously because he actually links the primary sources from his reporting. He is disciplined and outstanding at what he does, and it's a real public service.
Coming out of this enraging conversation, I do want to throw out some ideas that can leave you feeling more empowered. First of all, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Send your money to the reporting that is producing this incredible amount of information, this incredible pursuit of truth. Send your money to Politico. Hell, put Kyle Cheney's name in the memo line. I don't care. Support the journalists that are out there pursuing the truth of the corruption within this administration. And find a midterm election near you. Go volunteer. I don't care how hopeless it seems. This state Senate seat means everything's in play. Everything's in play. You thought maybe your Senate seat in Ohio was going to be an uphill battle? Maybe not. You thought you're going to be stuck with your representative till the end of time? Maybe you will still be stuck. But if we shrink the margins enough in some of these districts and get people's attention, things will change. Every one of us should find whatever race, however hopeless it seems, nearby that we can get involved in regularly and do our part. Now is the time.
And because of the state of the world, let me say really clearly that we have no relationship or interest in the Wall Street Journal or Politico whatsoever. We do not make money from that recommendation at all. It's just our honest recommendation.
Yep. All right, next up, let's talk about the Grammys. Beth, to bridge the divide between these segments, I was encouraged by the sincere political speech that I felt was present in much of the Grammy acceptance speeches. And I don't just mean Bad Bunny, although I get choked up just thinking about it. But Olivia Dean was like, I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant. What is this? The theme, what is this? And I thought it was really great because there was this moment where artists were clearly as intimidated and scared as the rest of us. And this felt different. This felt like people were like, no, I have to say something. This is about me. This is about my people. This is about who I am as a human. And I'm going to say something.
Yeah, I thought it really seemed like an evolution of political speech at an award show too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels very heavy-handed and sort of know-it-all. This was extremely personal, really calibrated to the moment.
Yeah.
I was impressed. I also noticed an extraordinary amount of religious speak at the Grammys. So many people really going on stage and calling out their faith or their belief that God has blessed them or given them some kind of charge in their artistry. Jelly Roll, basically did a sermon with his acceptance speech. So it was interesting in a lot of ways. I think it demonstrated that we are really just getting down to the fundamentals right now as a society.
Yep. Well, before we turn to the music, I do want to note a critique. I am opposed to nipple ring dresses.
I think that's fair.
I don't want that chaperone. And the way that her nipples were covered in makeup, as if that made it any better. I don't want it. I don't want the naked dresses. And this was like a new evolution of naked dresses. And I don't want that either. I want to go in the opposite direction. I want everyone to put their clothes back on. Please and thank you.
I will say similarly that I did not have a lot of respect for Justin Bieber performing in his boxers and socks.
Okay, see, that one didn't bother me.
I just thought, like, this is a real moment for you. Let's get dressed up for it.
I loved that performance.
I thought it was a great performance. I thought I'm criticizing what he wore.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it there with Chapel as like, I just think let's put some clothes on.
I think, look, sartorial choices, including stripping down. I mean, it was a very stripped down set. Yes. If he'd come out there.
I get it. I get what he was doing.
And I liked it. So I don't mind if it's in pursuit of something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to perform Pink Pony Club in a turtleneck. I get it. But I thought his set, I don't even really like Justin Bieber. Now, I'm coming around to him because I was like, am I being unfair to Justin Bieber? And I did some Googling. I didn't know that Justin Bieber has done 250 plus Make-A-Wish meetings. That's exposing yourself to a lot of grief and sorrow and existential dread. And I want to give the man credit for that. That's a lot. 250 terminally ill fans is a lot.
I honestly think that Justin Bieber has just struggled as many people who get famous too young struggle.
Absolutely.
And that it has been incredibly hard for him. And he has tried in a variety of ways to deal with how hard it's been for him. And I'm happy for him that he made a great album this year, that he got this recognition, that he's getting back out there. I hope it's from a really grounded, healthy place now. I'm not trying to disrespect Justin Bieber in any way. I'm just saying this is my one submission to the put some clothes on category.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how stripped down it was. I thought he was good. I just thought he was really
he was good. He's
good.
Talented, no doubt.
And yeah, the way he just like put it all together with the foot, whatever it's called, and the guitar, and then he sang it with such clarity and emotion. Just very good job. And I also like Sabrina Carpenter, which couldn't have been a more different performance.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
She just loves to perform, and you can feel it. And it doesn't matter what kind of performance. She loves to put on the show with intention. She is always saying something with every choice. I think it's so fun how much they love her at SNL and how she clearly loves to do that. You can tell she just loves to be on stage, and it's fun to watch somebody do a thing that they love to do at that level.
Well, I don't know outside maybe the Wicked duo I could give this to. Obviously Broadway people, it's a big category. But I don't, often you have people that are enormously musically talented and then they start performing and they get better and better at it. But like, she's an actress. Mm-hmm. She was an actress. And to me, like, that's what shines through. Like, that's not like, I think her songs are hilarious. And I'm sure she also deals with man children. Okay. I'm not like doubting her personal experience, but like, she's acting and it's so good. She's like putting on a bit, but it reads as authentic and hilarious, and
she's in on it.
Yeah, she's in on it, and it's just so good. And I think it's always like indicative of how much the crowd is into it. And man, that so many women in that audience were singing Man Child at the top of their lungs during that performance, and it was so funny. I loved it so much.
It's a good song. And I hope that she continues to get the kind of recognition that she really deserves, because I do think she's an unbelievable talent.
Oh, so good. So we had Record of the Year was Kendrick Lamar. He's now like the most decorated rapper of all time. Album of the Year is Bad Bunny. First Spanish spoken album in history. He cried. Oh, I just find him so sweet. I know that's a weird word. There's a sweetness to him that always kind of catches me off guard. But I just find him really sweet.
Yeah, he's just incredibly compelling in everything he does. He just pulls you in. And I think that sweetness really shines through in the way that he's chosen to use his fame. Like what he's done in, for, and with Puerto Rico is awesome. I mean, that is a very heavy hitter version of sweetness, but it is sweet.
Yeah. And then Billie Eilish won Wildflower. Now that's not the song I think she should have won for in the past year. She kind of got locked out last year when really, what was I made for? Is that the title of that song? God, it's so good. And Birds of a Feather, I think, are better songs, but I'm just glad she won because I really like Billie Eilish. But I thought the real sort of blockbuster moment was this new artist performance. They let every new artist nominee perform. First of all, often the new artist category makes me feel old, but like I knew all these songs. I was so proud of myself. I recognized, I didn't know Leon Thomas or the Marias that well, but Messy, absolutely one of my most favorite songs last year. And I thought Lola Young's stripped down performance of it, also knowing that she canceled her tour and has been sort of struggling in the face of all this sudden fame. I almost started crying. I thought it was so good.
I thought she was great too. I love this moment. I loved it last year. I thought there was a high bar set from Doechii last year because Doechii was such a wow at the Grammys last year. And I thought that really said to the new artist category, you got to bring your A game, or at least what really distills who you are as a performer. And I did not think everyone cleared that bar. But I did really like Leon Thomas.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I'm excited to hear more of his music. I was not familiar with him. And I thought that was a performance where he said, if you don't know me, this is who I am. I'm going to give you, in my few minutes here, in my few seconds here, I'm going to give you a sense of who I am.
Well, and he just had a good lineup. You know what I mean? He came off Cat's Eye. If he'd come off Lola Young, it probably wouldn't have hit as hard. But he came after Cat's Eye, this is really interesting. So I just read this piece in The Economist about how we're going to have K-pop without the K. So there's only one K-pop, Cat's Eye is arguably a K-pop group. It came from a reality show. They've done all the training. They're won this one record label that's sort of taking K-pop international. Not taking K-pop international, developing international K-pop groups is probably a better way to put it. And so but they only have one Korean member in this group. And so it's a very performative heavy, I thought it was an incredible performance. Is it a musically masterful song? No, because none of K-pop songs are some sort of musical masterpiece. What they do is very specific. But I thought as far as their dancing and performance and the energy they brought was incredible. But it was a marked contrast with Leon Thomas, who stood up there and just brought the musical talent.
My daughters are all in on the competition reality shows around developing these global groups that are riffing off K-pop. So I hear a lot more about this than maybe I desire to. But I think Gnarly is a really annoying song to turn on in your car. I just don't like it at all. And it is on in my car often. As a live performance, it's super fun. It's catchy. They are so talented as performers. The wardrobe choices were good. The staging, the lighting for this performance. I thought a lot about this really worked in this space.
And I thought Addison Rae's performance was good. She's coming off from being a TikTok star. The song is fine. Now, I think we could have passed on the mic because she was so clearly lip syncing. But I'm not even mad about that. It struck me. I think somebody in the New York Times called it a VMA performance where it's there's some tricks but her dancing was great and her interplay with the camera was really good. But it's just such a different thing than an Olivia Dean who I have been talking about for months and actually won the category. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't care for the Addison Rae performance whatsoever. I thought it was so much a different thing that it doesn't really belong in this space. It is just a different thing. I liked what Olivia Dean did a lot. And I like that she doesn't try to be something that she's not. She's a good singer. The band is good. It has a real nostalgic vibe. And I was glad that she preserved all of that for this performance.
I just love her. And I think she's a gift. And if you're tired of hearing that song, if she came on and you heard the song, you're like, oh my God, the Instagram song. I get it because they really ran into the ground over on Instagram. She has so many other good songs. Yeah. She has so many other good songs. Make sure and go listen to her because, again, she did win the category. And then I thought poor Alex Warren did a great job considering that he was overcoming very many technical struggles. He kept pulling his earpiece out, then he put it back in, then he pulled it back out, and then they launched him into the air. And considering all that, by the end, he was singing incredibly, and I don't think he was lip syncing.
Yeah, he was a pro for sure. I mean, it was obvious that he was struggling. And I thought it was kind of a pro move to like let us know he was struggling a little bit, but still kind of make his way through.
Yeah.
I hope that he feels proud of what he did under those circumstances instead of just like pissed and embarrassed about it.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. And then the last one was Somber. And I love this song. I found it on a Peloton ride and I was like, oh, what is this? It got heart. How I discovered this is probably why my music tastes have not aged as badly. Is because I get the new music from Peloton rides. I freaking love that song. I think it is such an earworm. I think it is so incredibly fun to dance to. Now, I don't think he was a particularly good dancer. That's not his fault though. I love that song. And I thought his mic on the way it would like wobble back and forth and it was on that big silver like bell-shaped bass was really cool. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love that song.
I thought the song was really fun. My girls like it a lot. I thought the performance was a mistake because it felt so much like Benson Boone. Like the costume felt like Benson Boone. The way he jumped at the beginning felt like Benson Boone. I just felt like he didn't distinguish himself as much as you have the opportunity to with this kind of performance.
All I know about Benson Boone is Mark Zuckerberg doing the backflip. All I know about Benson Boone is he backflips. That's it. So I didn't make that connection because I'm not versed on Benson.
Well, he did that backflip performance at the Grammys in this new artist segment last year. I mean, he does that all the time, but this really felt like his performance in this same slot last year.
Oh, interesting. I liked it because I just really like that song. The rest of his music doesn't sound as much like that. I mean, that song has a very disco vibe, which I kind of dig, and he like played up with the disco ball outfit and everything. But I thought it was a really strong category. I thought it was a good Grammys. Trevor Noah knows what he's doing at this point. He's threatened to be sued by the president, of course. But he's doing well. I mean, there were some performances I thought that were overdone and weren't as good.
What'd you think of Lady Gaga?
I mean, I love Lady Gaga. I don't think you're legally allowed to critique Lady Gaga anymore. I think it's illegal.
I'm very happy that she got so much respect from the Grammys last night. She is just such a powerhouse. Like the voice is such a powerhouse. If you close your eyes, Lady Gaga is incredible. I really did not love the way that it seemed to just be about looking at her under that basket hat from a number of angles. I could have used a different performance. It's a cool song. She's performed it a lot. There are already like iconic performances of Abracadabra from her, so I get that it was like a challenge. But I wish we had seen more of her and less basket hat. That's my take.
No, but I don't want more of her then we get nipple ring dresses. It's a real fine line.
I think there's a wide space between nipple ring dresses and basket hats.
Remember when she wore meat? I do. I mean, because I think like just her over the top is like such a part of her now.
For sure.
And I mean, when you have like the like biggest crowd ever to see a live performance in what was it, Brazil? You can kind of rest on your laurels. You gotta knock it out of the park at the Grammys. You're good. You're on solid footing. Lady Gaga. All right. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on the Grammys. If you think the Grammys missed any artists that we would like, I'm also into those kind of suggestions. Just FYI. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to get your tickets to our first ever Spice Conference, which will go on sale next week. Check the show notes for more info and mark your calendars. We'll be back in yours on Friday with a wonderful conversation with China expert Jane Perlez. And until then, keep it nuanced, y'all. Pantsuit Politics is produced by Studio D Podcast Production.
Elise Knapp is our managing director. Maggie Penton is our director of community engagement.
Xander Singh is the composer of our theme music with inspiration from original work by Dante Lima.
Our show is listener supported. Special thanks to our executive producers:
Martha Brunitsky,
Allie Edwards,
Janice Elliott,
Sarah Greenup,
Julie Haller,
Tiff and Jess Hassler,
Emily Holiday,
Katie Johnson,
Emily Helen Olson,
Barry Kaufman,
Catherine Vollmer,
Linda Daniel,
Tracy Putoff,
Sarah Ralph,
Jeremy Sequoia,
Katie Steigers,
Karen True,
Annika Uvaline,
Nick and Elisa Valelli,
Lee Shay McDonough,
Morgan McHugh,
Jen Ross,
Sabrina Drago,
Becca Dorval,
Christina Quartararo,
Shannon Frawley,
Samantha Chalmers,
Crystal Kemp,
Megan Hart,
the Adair family,
Jenny Francis,
Leanna Pilgrim Larson,
the Monene family,
Ashley Renee,
Michelle Palacios,
Catherine Jardine Caness,
Jessica and Brandon Krause,
Veronica Samuelidis,
Suzanne Dickinson,
Michelle Dean,
Emily Ott,
Dave and Beth Gaines,
Hillary Wentworth,
Teresa Gallagher,
Tina Posada,
Kelly McConnell,